So today I'm going to talk about why success is never enough. And I know that may sound strange coming from somebody who helps you to achieve soulful success, but I suppose it's worth saying what that actually means to me. And that means that it isn't about buying into everybody else's version of success, which I think perhaps as a generation we have. I think being the first generation of women who were kind of, had access to everything, that there was no doubt that I would be able to go to university. Whereas for my mum, who's 80 now, that was something she didn't do. She went off to do something more administrative because that wasn't seen as a thing as much. And I guess maybe, for our generation, being given this gift, and don't doubt that I see it as a gift of opportunity, meant that our value of ourself kind of meant that we needed to do all the things that we had offered to us. And I often say to my clients and here that women really did mishear the call to action. The call to action was not what was said was you can do anything. Like, look at all the opportunities you can choose from. And what we actually heard was you can do everything. And that is how we then built our lives. And it means that right from probably being pretty young, we attached our self-worth to success in the traditional sense of the word. And it was really funny that recently, as I kind of settled into making this kind of content for you, a group of women who I categorise as high achievers, and definitely categorise myself as that too, that as I started making this, I really started to reflect on my life and how that theme of seeking the outside success in order to feel, I was going to say to feel, and then I feel it's to fill a hole that was inside me, to fill a hole of self-worth. That started when I was so young. I can even remember the name of the girl who I was competing with for top of the class when I was about 9 or 10. I mean, I was at middle school, and back in those days you went to middle school when you were 9. So I must have been between 9 and 13. I have a very vivid memory of being in, I can't remember the teacher's name, but it was Mr. something with a W. He was a really old guy, probably not with us anymore, bless him, but me and this girl, she's called Vicky, I won't tell you her surname, she might still be out there in the world, I'm sure she's still out there in the world, but me and her were vying for top of the class. So like 1 week she would get the highest mark in the spelling test or the times tables test or whatever, we've always been tested in them days, probably still are now in school, and then the next week it'd be me, and it would go back and forth, and then I took that pattern, most memories of it are fairly indistinct, but I took that pattern into the rest of my life, definitely through academia, always vying to achieve highly. I worked very, very hard, and unfortunately at some point I started to struggle with academia, with reading in particular, and it turns out that I didn't find out till I was about 30 that I had a condition called Irlen syndrome, which is a scotopic sensitivity, which means you struggle to take information from the page. Reading is quite hard, it's quite tiring for the brain. It's not an eye condition, it's a brain condition. It's a bit like dyslexia. So as I got older, I kind of noticed that, like my younger brother, didn't seem to really work that hard and did really well, and everything was so hard. I can see myself sat at the dining room table. We had this beautiful oval dining room table with a glass top, like a light oak colour, probably was a proper antique, And I can see myself sat at that table in the house we lived in when I was at secondary school, with all my notes out, writing everything out again and again and again. And then, always vying for the top. I was, initially I was going to do engineering at university, and I was got a sponsorship in engineering from Roundtree Mackintosh, who became Nestle not long after I joined the company. And all of that kind of, I'm going to stop here because there's a dog coming, so I'm just going to move. 2 dogs actually. I'm just going to stand to one side and carry on talking to you. So that theme went right through my academic career, always vying to be the best, but really struggling by this point with the academic side of it and finding it all hard work. And then into my career, always moving on to the next job and the next progression in my career and the next achievement, just on and on and on. And in fact, I was sharing with somebody today that I actually took a promotion when I was on maternity leave. So I was applying for jobs, for promotions, when I was on maternity leave with my second child. So he would have been a baby, maybe about 4 or 5 months old, and my daughter was 2 and a half. And I was applying for promotions. And, just always just trying to fill that hole. It just felt like there was a hole that I was trying to fill, and maybe not having the awareness I have now, seeking in the outside world to feel okay, and being busy and being productive and being just never stopping, really. I mean, there was a point when I couldn't sit still. I would we'd sit down to watch television or a movie, and I'd have to be doing something else, working at the same time or marking at the same time or just doing something. So, and then, as I progressed into leadership in school, which started like in my second year of teaching, I actually got promoted to a management post, because I was chomping at the bit for it. So those opportunities kind of came along because that's what I thought I wanted. And then when I went into headship, and kind of thinking that when I got there that the hole would be filled, and it still wasn't filled, and working all the hours, ridiculous 70-hour weeks and stuff, with small children, with not much support really from inside my home. It was tough. And then, the other thing that I reflect on is when I got to the pinnacle, I suppose, of my career in education. So I was a primary school head teacher, and in the UK, that's that's leading a school. So I was in charge of a school, and I got to my second headship. So it was a 2-form entry school with a big nursery and its own childcare provision. And at that point, that was kind of the pinnacle of my career in school. I could have then gone on to be a consultant or something like that, but I'd reached kind of the top of the game, really, because in the city where I live, there's not really much above a 2-form entry primary school. That's kind of the biggest it goes, really. There are some 3-form entry ones, but not many. So that was it. I was at the top of my game, and within weeks of arriving in that job, I felt that hole hugely, massively. And I started looking for what I was going to do afterwards. I started speaking to a life coach, somebody like me, because I felt so empty inside, and I thought, this isn't it then. Must be something else out there. And because I'd kind of committed to doing this job, when the hole wasn't filled, and the life coaching conversations were helpful, but were all pointing towards what I was going to do after I finished this job that I'd just started, that I started doing things outside work. So, excessive online dating, salsa dancing, going out drinking, with a friend of mine who'd also split from her husband, fellow head teacher. Too many nights spent in Leeds dancing the night away, fueled by white wine, and just jam packing my life because the hole just wouldn't be filled. Because, and this is where I'm leading to in this video, is because the hole is not really there. You know, there is no hole inside us. We just think there is, because that's coming from a place of confusion where we think our feelings of self-worth or anything else come from the outside world. That it's even possible to success that hole away. It isn't possible. And that's the reason why people burn out, fundamentally, is this attempt to fill that hole of self-worth with work, with business, with even, you know, when I say high achieving, you could be just, you know, you could be a mum, a stay-at-home mum who's doing everything to make your child's lives amazing, you know, and never saying no to any play dates or whatever else, you know, like trying to make everything in the house perfect, trying to make everything right, pleasing your partner or your children or whatever. You know, when I say high achieving, it doesn't necessarily have to be about work or a business. And that hole is just not fillable. It just isn't. The only way to feel that hole melt away, I suppose, disappear, is to see that your worth has nothing to do with out there. That your productivity, the amount you're doing, the success in the traditional sense of the word of your life has nothing to do with that hole. And it's nothing to do with your self-worth. And I guess that's it really for today. I hope that's helpful. Just, you know, you're not going to fill that hole by doing more. And I'm still seeing this myself. I've had a couple of days this week where I've just felt very low energy and flat and just not really very up for things. And I still find it hard. I've had a big cry before I came out for this walk, and yeah, I feel a bit better now, but you know, I just lay on the sofa and felt it really hard. I procrastinate for a while first, which is what I tend to do when I'm not feeling good. Maybe you do that too. So yeah, your success isn't the answer. Doing things out there isn't the answer. Now, the interesting thing is that I just want to finish on is that doesn't mean you won't do amazing things in the world. But when you stop doing it from a place of trying to secure yourself, my goodness, it's different. The energy of it's different. The flow is different. Just all of it's different. It feels just so completely different. So that's where we're looking towards, really. We're not looking towards lying on the sofa crying and not doing anything. Well, not all the time anyway. But we're looking to see that if we're trying to fill that hole with productivity, we're not going to do that. But when we see that we're already whole and well, then the activity and the doing things comes from there, not from trying to fill the hole of self-worth. Just frightening a dog at the moment, folks. Sorry about that. A dog that scares of selfie sticks, apparently. Anyway, onward and upward. Enjoy your day. Don't frighten a dog with a selfie stick. That was a new one. I've never done that before. I think the dog's fine, by the way. And the lady on the end of the lead is also fine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this and perceiving it till the end. It's a bit longer than normal, but something I feel so passionate about. So take care. Have a lovely week, whatever stage of the week you're at when you're watching this. Take care. Lots of love.